My partner is asexual. How do I support him while making sure that my needs are met?
Would you feel comfortable first just talking about some kind of like conversation starters or, places to start?
It can be tricky when the person might not want to talk about it themselves. But I guess because in relationships quite often we tie sexual intimacy in with a relationship and place importance on that. I think the earlier you have those conversations, the better.
I found some question prompts online, so I'll just say a couple of them. In terms of, because as you said, some people might be sex repulsed, some people in a relationship, some ace people will be like, yeah, I can do some sexual intimacy with you because it helps me feel connected with you and I'm not sex repulsed, that's fine. So some of these questions were, is sex something you ever picture yourself having in the future? What are your thoughts on kissing and touching? How do you feel about sex, like watching it on TV? And so, does that all sound like pretty good? You're just kind of like...
Yeah, definitely. And it's good as well to... some people might change as they age, but generally people will have a pretty firm baseline of what they're comfortable doing. And so having conversations, is kissing okay? Would you ever want to have sex with me? What about, foreplay or anything? And just sort of establishing what is out of the equation or what's in the equation. Because that will, I guess, if intercourse is really important to someone, if that's completely out of the question, they might need to have further conversations about what that looks like down the track. And then obviously in the future, in the moment, if you are going to do something physical, just checking in that they consent to it and that they're okay with what's happening at the time.
Apart from that important initial conversation and understanding, has there been other things or ways or gestures partners have made you feel supported, especially just in terms of being asexual and what that means to you?
I guess probably the two key things for me, one would be consent, like I talked about before, so checking in about what's okay and what you feel comfortable with, and not just assuming because you've said yes once that it's, from then on it's going to be that way or the highway kind of thing. As well, I think showing affection in other ways. So for me, one of my big things is quality time, having a date night or going out and doing something that's kind of emotional intimacy that shows, you care about each other. That's not just based around something physical. Yeah, just having those conversations, finding different ways that you can kind of encourage intimacy, and if things need to change down the track, not being afraid to have those conversations and kind of reevaluate, if you need to explore other paths and things like that.
So should we talk a little more about the second part of the question now, which is, so the first part is how do I support my ace partner, and then the second is while also ensuring my needs are met.
Yeah.
So we're assuming the person, my needs are met person, is not ace.
Assuming that maybe this is a monogamous relationship, what can you do for your own needs within those bounds? And so we were just thinking, for me, there's things in my life that I do that feel sensual and connect me to my sexuality that, I actually have nothing to do with sex. For me, if I do yoga naked in my room with a salt lamp and incense, I don't need anyone else to be there, but I feel really connected to my sensuality and sexuality.
And then there is obviously also masturbation and self-centered sexual touch, which after you've had a conversation to check that everyone's on board with that being all good within the relationship is a wonderful thing to be able to do on your own. And you can, go in on the cosmic wank and not just getting off to go to sleep, but slowing down and moisturising and all of those lovely things as well.
That's kind of their own needs that they may need to cater to within the relationship. But then I think also another aspect of it is being able to still feel close to their ace partner without something they may be used to have been having before. So I liked what you were saying around the emotional intimacy and putting aside time to do those sorts of things.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of the long-term relationships of a person who's allosexual and asexual, you'll see that they've got that connection with the same interests, that they've got the same, they have intellectual conversations, and that quite often is what makes a relationship last long-term, is that they've got this passion and this drive of similarity and things that they chat about.
Honestly, it feels like a pretty good thing to do anyway. As you age, I'm sure some people probably are still going to be horny till they die, but But like sex drives wane, and like within relationships things kind of taper off a bit maybe, and it is important. It's so important to be sparked in that way by someone. So I feel like it's just good advice for everyone.
Yeah.